Hey, glad you could be with us. Tom Gresham here from Gun Talk. I haven't done a podcast in quite a while, a standalone podcast, and I wanted to do one because I'm looking at the news out of Dallas, Texas, where this police officer goes into the wrong apartment, shoots and kills the occupant of that apartment, a man who, according to reports, was sitting there eating ice cream. It's a lesson for a lot of us. There are a lot of lessons here, and some of them are not obvious. I want to take some time to kind of talk about this because I think it's important. It could save your life. It could save you from making a horrible mistake. It can save you from going to prison. So let's talk about this. What actually happened here, and what are the lessons that we can learn? The officer's name is Amber Guyger, well, former officer now. Short version is she was convicted of murder, not manslaughter, not negligent homicide, murder. She comes home to her apartment, sees the door ajar. She's in uniform, but she's off duty. Pulls her pistol out, goes into the room, into the apartment. Sees a man in there. According to her, the man, she's saying, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." He gets up and starts walking toward her. She shoots him, kills him. Where to start? Oh my gosh, where to start? Let's start off with this. You must decide now what you will do then. You must decide now what you will do then. Because deciding in the middle of a situation, coming up with a plan in the middle of stress, is a bad idea. It's suboptimal. You're probably not going to be top of game. You also need to think about SA, situational awareness. According to the reports, and I'm just going off the news reports here, Guyger is texting with her lover, married man, sexual text, as she's running home. She is distracted. She is in a hurry. I'm reminded of an old, seemed like he was old at the time when I was young, flight instructor. And it really stuck with me. He said, very simply, he said, when you are in a hurry, you are in danger. Think about that. When you are in a hurry, you are in danger. Not just for flying, not just with guns, with everything. How many times have you been in a hurry, you're rushing around and you make a mistake? Maybe it's a little mistake. We've all done that. Maybe it's a bigger mistake. Maybe you end up rushing around, you're cutting up stuff, for something and you cut yourself. You're rushing around, you knock something over. When you start fooling around with guns or airplanes, when you're rushing around, you're in a hurry and you're in danger, really bad things can happen. So how do you, and let's talk about reality here. How do you not be in a hurry? Oh, I'm busy. I got things to do. Yeah, I know. We're all busy. Everybody has the exact same amount of time. Consider that. Everybody has the exact same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in the day. Your time is no more important than anybody else's time. So how do you get your mind right? Because this is really all about mindset. How do you get your mind right? There actually are some tools, at least some things that I do. And you got to be able to take your ego out of it. You're not the most important person in the world. I'm sorry. I know that bothers some people. It's a shock. You are not the most important person in the world. Get over yourself. Yes, traffic's bad. Don't pass people on the right side. Don't go driving up the shoulder of the road. If you do that, you have a problem. And you need to get help, professional help. Seriously. Okay? Settle in. Okay, this is going to sound weird. Change the channel on the station in your car. Seriously. Whatever it is you're listening to, go find classical music. Find something soft and smooth. Find something mellow. Calm yourself down. Yeah, I'm not kidding, really. It works. Okay? Change your environment. Change your mindset. Conscious efforts. Maybe turn everything off. Maybe listen to silence. You must decide now what you will do then. What's that mean? You must have been through the situation before you go through the situation. Nothing works as well as experience, right? We all know that, there's no substitute for having experience doing something. Well, nobody wants to get into a whole bunch of gunfights or a bunch of fights or a bunch of survival situations to gain that experience. But what you can do is you can go through those things in various ways without having to actually get into a gunfight. Whether it's through training, through pre-visualization, we'll talk about a lot of that, okay? All right, so I'm looking at these news reports from Amber Guyger. It says the prosecution argued that Guyger was distracted because she had been exchanging explicit text messages with her police partner with whom she had a sexual relationship, and she missed numerous signs indicating she was in the wrong place. Her brain was not where her body was. Or put it another way, here's your slogan: be here now. We see this every day. People aren't where they are. They're walking around with these devices in their hands and they're texting. And their brain is not where their body is. And they're walking down the street. I mean, you see the videos of them. They're funny, but they're walking into fountains or they're banging into things. I actually have gotten to where in airports, people are walking in airports, walking fast amongst the crowds, and they're looking down at their phones. And I got my head up. I'm looking, and as they're coming at me, they're going to run into me. And I just say, heads up. Get your head up. Huh? Look up. Know what's around you. So that, again, situational awareness. But so she's sending these text messages. She's not where she is physically. She comes to the door of her apartment. Turns out it's not her apartment. And the door is ajar. The door is open. And when she's questioned about it, she said, well, going in was the only option she could think of. The only option she had. Well, no. Let me just say this right now. If you come home to your home, right, and the door is ajar, and particularly if you don't expect any of your family members to be in there, don't go in the house. Yeah, but he could be, I don't care. He could be in there stealing. Yes. Let's consider the trade-offs here, okay? What was she protecting when she went into this apartment that she thought was hers? And then she said she heard noises inside. Okay, cool. Seriously. And put yourself right there. You're right there. You come home, the door's ajar, you hear something in there. What are you protecting by going in there? Your television? Really? Yeah, but there's somebody in my house and I'm legal. I don't care what's illegal. Let's talk about what's smart. You don't know who's in there. You don't know how many people are in there. You don't know if they have weapons or not. You don't know if they are predisposed to want to hurt you. And if you have no family members in there, why in the world would you go inside? I got my gun. I've been through gunfighting school. Cool. You know what happens in a gunfight? People get shot. Here's another thought. Is there anything in this house, or in her case, was there anything in that apartment that's worth taking someone's life or going to jail for decades? She got convicted of murder. She's going to prison for decades. I mean, what else could she have done? Oh, how about not go in the room? Turn around, leave, pick up your phone, call 911. Hi, I just came home. My door was ajar. I thought I heard something in there. I need police officers here now. And don't go in and wait for them. And they go in teams. Or maybe they send in a dog. Or whatever. Don't go in. So Guyger goes in with her gun out. And she supposedly tells this guy, show me your hands, bang, bang. While she is being questioned on the stand, this goes to the point of thinking through what you would do in the situation, but also thinking what you're going to do after. You have to think your way through all of this stuff before you ever get there. She's asked, when you shot this man, when you pointed your gun at this man and you shot him in the chest, you intended to kill him, right? She says, yes. Well, that tells me two things. One, she hasn't thought through this. Well, three things. She hasn't thought through this. She hasn't been trained right, and she had a terrible attorney. Because the correct answer is no. I was not trying to kill him. I was trying to stop him. He was about to hurt me. Wouldn't it have been nice to have a good attorney who would brief you up on that before you go in? How do you find a good attorney? Well, you belong to one of these services. The one I've carried the card I belong to is the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network, armedcitizensnetwork.org. It's just smart, okay, to have something like that. So she's on the stand and she testifies, yes, my intent was to kill him. Well, that right there may have made the difference between getting convicted of manslaughter or being convicted of murder. Wow. Let's see. Prosecutors also introduced evidence that could weigh in favor of a heavier sentence against Guyger, including Guyger's police disciplinary history and, oh, wait for it, her social media posts espousing violence and text messages with racially offensive language. Everything you have ever said and posted and shared, even if you thought it was private in a text, is available and can and will be used against you. Think about anything that you have said or posted, put up on a big poster board, and stood on an easel in front of the jurors to read. What you do now determines what's going to happen then. You must decide now what you will do then. When prosecutors asked why she didn't back away and radio for help once she suspected a break-in, Guyger said that entering the apartment, quote, was the only option that went through my head, close quote. Lack of training, lack of awareness, lack of pre-visualization, basic failure in mindset. All right, let's talk about what you can do. When I talk about training, I'm not talking about marksmanship. Yes, of course, you have to learn how to shoot. That's a given. But what I'm really talking about is taking classes that teach you things like awareness, critical thinking. People say, well, you just don't know what you're going to do in the middle of that. Yes, you do. If you've been through it before, how do you go through it before? Training. You can problem solve in the middle of a situation. If you have gone through, for instance, a force-on-force scenario 15 times, no longer is stuff just coming at you in a whirlwind deal, but you actually are seeing things develop almost in slow motion, and you are problem solving, and you are working this situation, and you know where to move, and you know how to handle it, and you know how to have big vision, big, soft, wide-angle vision, stare at nothing, see everything. You just get better at it. And for those who say, well, you just don't know what you're going to do in a situation. Well, that's true if you don't have any training. That's true. But once you have training, once you've gone to these schools, once you have taken, and I cannot stress enough, force-on-force training, you know where you can start? You can start with our first-person defender video series. It's not the same as you being in there, but it's pretty darn close in terms of watching what's going on and going, oh, I see what happened there. I can see how that person got overwhelmed. She never saw this. He never did this. Okay, cool. And you sit there and you rewind it and you process it. Our First Person Defender series is available on YouTube and all the places that we have our gun talk videos. Training is not about marksmanship. Yes, of course, you have to be able to shoot. That's a given. But that's just like the baseline, okay? Force-on-force training, you can get stress inoculation. The more you have been in a stressful situation, the less stress you will feel. And you actually can go right through the middle of like attackers and multiple attackers, and you're seeing what's going on, and you're coming up, with not a plan, because you need to have a rough plan, but you're coming up with ways to respond and problem solving as you go. What you don't want is the in-tot moment. I never thought of that. How many times have you heard people say, oh, I never thought of that? Well, it's your job to think of that. If you are a prepared person, you like to think of yourself as a prepared person. We all do. We're We're the gun folks. We have guns for self-defense, right? But that's not a magic talisman that makes bad guys go away. You have to be good at it. Not just shooting, not just drawing, not just winning matches. That's not where it is. All right, so let's review a little bit. First of all, number one, you are not there to enforce the law. Yeah, but he was doing, I don't care. You're not there to teach anyone a lesson. Get your ego out of it. Yeah, but he was, if he's not hurting somebody, if he's not beating up on somebody, and even if he is, we'll have that conversation in just a second here. Your role, and here's where we get down to it. What's your role? Your role is to enhance the safety for yourself and your family. Consider that. We talk about the sheepdogs and the sheep, right? You want to be a sheepdog. You want to be somebody who protects others. Well, the others can't be everybody in the world. So the others are really it's yourself and your family. And if in an extremely rare circumstance, you are in a position to help someone else, be very, very careful. Because here's the deal. In most cases, you don't know what's going on. I give the example. You see two biker dudes with the full jackets, the whole deal, and they've got this little old lady, and they are dragging her out the front door of this house, and you are going to be the good guy, right? Because you've got a gun, and you have your concealed carry permit, and you have taken 6 whole hours of concealed carry class. So you go up there, you run up there, pull your gun out and say, stop. One of the biker dudes turns and pulls out his badge. And you are now under arrest if you're lucky and you don't get killed in the process. Intot. I never thought of that. Most of the time you don't know what's going on. And even when you do know what's going on, it's extremely dangerous. I mean, let's talk about that. It is really dangerous. You could get hurt. You could get killed. And you could go to prison for a long, long time. Most of the time. Here's what you need to have in your head, because this needs to be in there as your go-to reaction, okay? Most of the time, you need to leave. Most of the time, you need to exit and call 911. Most of the time, you need to avoid the situation. If you can not be there when it happens, that's even better. Choices. Making good choices. How do you make good choices? You simply study this stuff. You become, as my friend Paul Markle calls it, a student of the gun. You study, you read, you watch YouTube videos, you take classes, a lot of classes. You watch first-person offender. You sit at home and you think about scenarios. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but it really is true. You put yourself in the middle of a scenario. What is going to be your first action? And what's going to be your second action? How are you going to get your family out of there? When you go to a restaurant, do you know where all the exits are? Does your family know where the exits are? Do they know that they can go through the kitchen? There's almost always a back door to the kitchen. That's where the food comes in. They need to know that. You need to have your safety word for your family, that when you say that word, I don't care what it is. It could be rutabaga. It can be anything. It's over. Conversation stops. If you say, rutabaga, rutabaga, everybody get up, follow me right now. No one says, what are you talking about? I haven't finished my dinner. No. You need to have gone over that often so they understand that you have seen something. And here's the other thing. The other members of your family are empowered to say that. If one of your kids says, Dad, rutabaga, something going on back there, you turn around and go, yeah, you're right. We're out of here. But that's the word that stops the conversation. Why would that be important? Because it can buy you 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 seconds. And that could be enough to make sure that when this thing happens, you're actually not there. Think about this stuff at home. Put yourself in the situation. What's your first action? How am I going to get people out of there? Then what? Then what? Here's what you're doing. You're building a bank of memories. It is very, very much as though you had actually been through that. You're building experience. All right, let's talk about being competent with your gear, okay? I'm just going to quickly go over the 4 levels of competence. First, there's unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know what you don't know. You're not good at it, and you don't even know you're not good at it. You don't even know that you need to be good at it. Well, you're beyond that. Second is conscious incompetence. You know you need to be good at it, and you know you're not. All right, I'm hoping you're beyond that. And then you get to conscious competence. That means you can actually accomplish the things, okay? You can shoot well, you can move, but it requires a lot of concentration. You have to really work at it. You have to break it down in steps, and it's difficult to do. And then when you have practiced the skill a lot, we call it second nature. Oh man, he just does that. It's like second nature. Well, that's called unconscious competence. I remember a class at gun site, and here's the thing. I go back and take the basic class over and over because there really aren't any advanced stuff. It's just the basics applied to a particular problem. And we're doing a El Presidente drill, and it's kind of a competition, see who can do it the fastest. And in the middle of doing this, you fire the 6 shots, and then you have to do a reload and fire the 6. I had a click malfunction, and I did a tap rack. That's right. I didn't get the mag seated all the way in. Shot, got a click, and I did a tap rack and kept going. And here's the thing. I didn't even know I had done it. Unconscious competence. This was the last day of a 5-day class. We've been doing this over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where I had the unconscious competence to do that. In the middle of a drill, in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a match, you just are shooting and moving and doing what you need to do. That's where you want to get, is to that level of unconscious competence. So here's the deal. Learn from things like this story out of Dallas. This officer who made so many mistakes. And all of it could have been avoided by not going into the room. It's not her apartment. She doesn't know that. She thinks it's hers. She comes home. The door is ajar. Stop. That's it. Turn around and leave. Now, having said that, if you have family members in there, different deal. But now you go smart. Again, just because there's somebody in your house that you don't recognize does not mean this is a threat. Could be your neighbor who is confused, has dementia, maybe drunk. Maybe he or she got the wrong house. Right? It's just thinking about that. Okay, here's the deal. Bottom line on this, right? All this stuff is up to you. It's more than shooting. It's more than winning a match. Honestly, it's more than a lifestyle. It's going to require you to change your life. It requires you to change where you will go, what you will do, how you see things. And it requires you to commit to becoming, as Paul Markle calls it, a student of the gun. Okay, yeah. And yes, you can operate at a lower level. Certainly. Time, money, family, work commitments, they all intrude. But here's the thing. The circumstances don't care about your commitments. The challenges don't care that you have restrictions. And the bad guys certainly don't care. You are either prepared or you are not. Being less prepared might be good enough. Then again, you might get shot. Or you might shoot the wrong person and be convicted of murder. What you do today and every day has a huge influence on the outcome of an event that may never happen. Let me say that again. What you do today and every day has a huge influence on the outcome of an event which may never happen. But, taking responsibility for yourself and your family makes you feel good about yourself. It also makes you safer. It helps you make good decisions in many phases of your life, not just in this. So whether you actually need to use those fighting skills, you're going to benefit every day from making yourself a sheepdog. So I'm going to go right back to where I started. You must decide now what you will do then you start today. But you start with small changes. Maybe you start watching First Person Offender. Maybe you start reading good books on this. Maybe you find podcasts that work for you. And you start changing the way you think. Maybe you give yourself, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes a day for dry fire. Cool. All right, make sure there's no ammo in the room. I'm going to give myself 10 minutes a day where I do nothing but sit and run through scenarios in my head. That's training too. That's a commitment. And the more you do it, the more you're going to want to do it. And the more you do it, the better you will be at it. And the more you do it, the safer you will be, and the safer your family will be. So really, it's up to you. You got to figure this out. I wish I could help you with it beyond that. You know, we keep putting up the videos. We do what we can do. But ultimately, the hard part and the ugly part is that it's up to you. So I hope that you will commit. I hope that you will commit to taking care of yourself and your family. If we can help in any way, let us know. In the meantime, check it out, guntalk.com, shopguntalk.com. You can find our DVDs and everything else that we're doing there. Check out First Person Offender and all our videos on our YouTube channel. Look for Gun Talk Media there. I'll see you on the radio. Tom Gresham, thanks for joining me.